Hello and welcome to today's Lean In. My name is Michael Linky here at the Institute of Architects. Thanks very much for joining me on what promises to be an absolutely fascinating journey into the world of colour. Today, we're very proud to have Andrea Lucina Orr, our Colour and Communications Manager from Dulux in Melbourne, joining me on the program to go through the 2024 Dulux Colour Forecast. And joining me on the program now is Andrea. Andrea, welcome to our Lean In today. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be able to share this information. It's always an exciting time of the year for us. All right, I'm going to get going. So welcome everyone to the Dulux Colour Forecast for 2024. So every year the Dulux Colour Forecast is a significant milestone for Australian interiors. And of course, this year we were reminded how Dulux has consistently provided valuable inspiration for over 2 decades. In its 25th year, the 24 Colour Forecast palettes reflect an inner desire for positivity and spaces that nurture within our interiors. So as colour, design and key influences continue to evolve, and of course interior forecast is very different to fashion forecasting in that there's just iterations of change year on year. So it's quite a different proposition to fashion. So where we see these small changes coming through, if you look over 5 years, then you'll start to see quite large changes. And of course, that gets larger as we look forward further back. So this particular year, as in 2024, the palettes step deeper into the mid-tone colours and evoke sentiments of warmth, nostalgia, and of course, self-expression. So commercial spaces, as well as residential spaces, we all obviously have great opportunity to incorporate interior colour. And as the lines of where we work and live continue to blur, and we see that that is continuing obviously from the COVID lockdowns, we're seeing that sort of mix of both business and leisure. And we're seeing that hotels and other accommodation spaces are looking at colour and texture to replicate a sense of solace and also security that the home brings. Predominant hues in the 2024 colour forecast include warm colours with a yellow influence, also pink undertones, and of course, natural colours in clay hues and reddy browns as well. With each colour palette, the overall aesthetic offers a flexibility sure to appeal to a broad audience. This coming year's trends are well suited for all Australian homes and also commercial spaces. So let's get a dive onto our 3 palettes. So introducing the 3 palettes are Solstice, Muse and Journey. And let's do a deep dive into our first trend of Solstice. A melting pot of Mediterranean, Scandinavian and African influence, the Dulux Solstice palette connects us to the sun as its life force and serves as a reminder as the days grow longer, better days are ahead. The trend is rich with organic and primitive shapes with colours that wrap warmth around us to really evoke feelings of security and strength. And as I mentioned before, we're seeing these beautiful natural colours very much in that warmth, in clay brown shades with those red undertones as well. So a couple of things off our mood board here, just that top left. If anyone was at Milan Design Week, you would have seen this at the Archi Products installation. This top left image was a beautiful, warm place of solace, actually. It was a really, really lovely space to actually relax. And this particular space was done, it was actually called Terra, and it was done by Studio Pepe. It was designed to provide a connection to the earth through shades of terracotta, sand and clay. It included warm lighting, and that's really important when we're using these beautiful warm colours, and also natural and experimental materials to really intensify our sense of connection to the earth. So that was a great experience, actually sitting there and really sort of taking it all in. Another really interesting piece is by Italia Broom, which is just to the right of the Solstice heading there. It's called the Na. It's the MM Vase by Emily Lisi of Italia Broom. And it's this really beautiful, unique handmade piece in a primitive sculptural form created with white stoneware, and then it has black embroidery added over cream fabric to really create layers and texture. And that's what this particular trend is all about, those natural materials, obviously a lot of handcraft and custom made products as well. So heading into our colours, you'll see there's some really beautiful warmth in here. We do have a couple of blues that are more in the accent. We've incorporated our neutral white in natural white, and also this beautiful neutral sort of sand colour in light rice half. Our main sort of brown, red-based brown colours are in Potter's Pink, Tan Wagon, and Reddy Brown. And of course, that sort of beautiful deep charcoal with that brown inference of Empty Stage as well. We've also incorporated these beautiful neutrals that had that sort of subtle warmth. So Handmade Linen Half, if anyone has used it, it's a gorgeous colour. It has a slight sort of greenish inference as well. Jodhpurs, we saw a lot of jodhpurs. That was our confirmed absolutely in Milan this year. It was just everywhere. And if anyone has actually seen that in the Dulux World of Colour Atlas, it's a really beautiful neutral, but it's got that slight yellowish inference as well. So it has great light reflectance. And of course, Llama is that really beautiful neutral, once again, that has that sort of orange gold inference. Sometimes it can even look a little bit mustard as well, depending on light and surrounding colour. So let's just get into our actual how it looks. So when we're talking about solstice, we're looking at design details that are obviously tactile. That's a really big thing. We're seeing furniture and sculptural styling decor featuring raw and unfinished materials. We're also seeing details inspired by Grecian motifs, resulting in vessels resembling urns and braided features in textiles. We're also seeing hard surfaces softened using highly textural fabrics with imperfect slub effects, and tactile suede and velvet. Also the addition of high pile carpets or rugs that feature tassels and fringing, really inviting you into that sort of space. Not surprisingly, the materials that we're seeing a lot en masse are concrete, terrazzo, terracotta, clay, and even lava stone as well. So working alongside our designer and stylist, Bree Leach, Bree found 3 amazing homes that she scouted this year in and around Melbourne. This particular home is just amazing, and what we were able to do here is utilise the colour Tan Wagon, and you'll see how Tan Wagon looks quite different on the ceiling and obviously closer to that window than it does in shadow to the right of that space. So really important when you're using these colours, especially on flat ceilings, you'll only get diffuse light. Angled ceilings are quite different. Obviously, if you've got cathedral ceilings or at least angular, you'll get more reflective light, but in this particular case, you'll see how different the colour can appear, obviously ceilings versus walls. Another, on the left-hand side, you can just see that Tan Wagon going through to the lounge space, but you'll see the main colour is in jodhpurs. And I mentioned that before. It's a really beautiful neutral colour, has that slight sort of yellowish undertone, so great light reflectance. The middle image is in that Handmade Linen Half, which has that slight green appearance as well. Really beautiful neutral colour, really recedes in a space as well. On the right-hand side, you've got that beautiful sort of reddy brown, if you like, in Potter's Pink. Great colour. It's in that mid-tone, so it's a great colour to use en masse or even as feature. And of course, at the end of that space, you've got that beautiful jodhpurs as well. This is a really interesting colour. This is Llama. I mentioned before that this, has a lot of sort of ochre in it, so it has that beautiful light and sort of sunny appearance. But then you'll see in the corner, it looks quite mustard. So it is quite a complex colour. It's got a lot of tint in this colour. And it's obviously it's quite a chameleon depending on light and surrounding colour. On the left, you can just see that stairwell going back up in the Potter's Pink, the Tan Wagon coming through from that lounge area, and of course jodhpurs on that beautiful curved wall there. The middle image is Reddy Brown, really gorgeous colour, really decadent. It's got that striking brown colour, but that really strong red inference as well. And it looks incredible with blue or even green decor elements. On the right there, Potter's Pink, once again, you can see how different it looks in a different space with different surrounding colour as well. And Bree has just chosen the ocean surf in the alcove there in that team's bedroom. This is a really beautiful space, just seeing light rice half on ceilings and walls. really sort of brought this together and gave it that beautiful Scandi sort of design style, really pared back, but still that gorgeous subtle warmth to this space as well. So when we're talking schemes, we're talking everything, not just paint. We're talking about all of the elements that go into a space, if it's commercial or if it's residential. Obviously, you'll have all the fixtures, fittings, you'll have design elements, furniture, decor items, soft furnishings, etc. So really, this is such a natural palette. This, all of these colours can be used together. In this case, we've used the blues and even that bright lemon just in accent, but certainly in all of those beautiful natural colours, really, there's no limitation on how you could use these. So let's head to our next palette, which is Journey. So taking influence from our travels, folk traditions, and cultural differences, the Dulux Journey palette weaves together elements of bohemian charm, eclectic allure, and highlights the art of craft. A maximalist and pattern-heavy palette, Journey is about the story of an interior with a focus on the objects and items handed down and the rich ancestral heritage they represent. I think that's really important as well. This is all about storytelling and really, I suppose, layering all of those stories. So similar to the rich and diverse tapestry in our own lives, the Journey palette beckons you in with an overarching warmth, and this trend brings together many rich mid-tone hues. So once again, we're seeing that mid-tone really telling stories this year. So a couple of things off our mood board here. We have the bottom left there, the rug by CC Tapas. That is actually designed by Bethanne Laura Wood. And of course, Bethanne, we actually met in Milan this year because she was on our panel. We for any of designers and architects who happened to be in Milan this year, we had a 25th anniversary for our Dulux Colour Forecast over a dinner, and we had a panel talk, which was really fascinating to find out how people get inspirations for looking ahead for their product, and also their inspiration for writing about colour and design. So Bethanne, in this particular product, this particular rug is called Guadalupe. It features patterns collected during her travels, and this whole collection is a vibrant and rhythmic composition that evokes the stained glass windows of the new Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City. So you can really get that beautiful feel of the colorways, but also the patterning from those stained glass windows. And amazing design. If anyone hasn't followed her in Instagram, please do. Bethanne Laura Wood. She's certainly a very creative designer who uses color amazingly. Another thing I just wanted to select off this mood board is just that little shelf just to the left of the Journey heading there with the black vase. It's called the Arms Lazo Wall Shelf and embodies the art of decorative weaving in a practical object woven by artisans in Bogota. And the shelf is made of recycled PVC. And we're seeing that more and more, lots of recycled materials coming through decor items, lots of obviously natural materials as well, which we saw on the Solstice palette, but lots of recycling with timber, PVC, seeing a lot of that in outdoor furniture in particular, the recycled of PVC, recycled plastics and waste plastics from the ocean as well. So there's a lot of really fantastic stuff happening in that space. So looking at the colours, I mentioned it's really mid-tone in this particular palette. Lots of, once again, very beautiful earth-based colours again. In this case, because there's so much warmth, we obviously are even talking about those greens. They sort of sit on that more yellow side. We've used Antique White USA as our white because it is a warm white. Also Pollinate, for those who haven't seen Pollinate, it is a Dulux colour in our atlas, like all of these colours, but it's a really beautiful colour because it sits back a little bit with that sort of browner undertone, but it still has that ochre in it, so it still has great potential for light reflectance as well. Beige Artifacts, which sits right in that neutral space between warm and cool. Really great colour if people are trying to sort of adapt from, I suppose, our grey decade, going back into our new brown decade as well. We've incorporated this gorgeous gold in Haywan. really great. It's got like a slight mustard gold undertone as well. Our greens are really important. They're our hero colours in this palette. Xena, which has that beautiful yellow undertone as well, and Bean Counter in that true mid-tone. Our blues, once again, in that mid-tone, Swedish blue and Clouded Sky, and of course, those beautiful, really sort of pared back pinks in Bruised Burgundy as our deepest burgundy, I suppose, Carmine, Evening Blush, and of course, Lilac Light, all beautiful, sort of still got those sort of browner undertones as well. We also incorporate our powders colours in these palettes for those of you that are working commercial settings or even residential where you need to utilise powders for framing or other metal elements. So let's have a look at how this palette comes together. What is the inspiration? So the furniture and fabrics are heavily patterned and textured. In living spaces, we're seeing time-worn rugs adorned with geometric shapes and wicker chairs softened with beautiful plush velvet. Multicoloured trinkets feature as decorative elements throughout interiors. Cushion materials are either woven or knitted, and tassels are made from either apica fibre or other sustainable options. And we're really seeing lampshades, utilise these other options in natural fibres, and also reuse of other fabrics, mainly from the apparel industry as well. So we're seeing a lot of that sort of reuse or using other materials from waste of other industries. And how do we actually, what are we looking at when we're looking at materials? We're looking at woven vessels, maybe picked up from our travels or even passed down through generations, really creating some great, interesting focal points and great talking points as well. We're also seeing vintage finds such as side tables or pre-loved vessels and bowls given a new lease of life simply with a fresh coat of paint, really reflecting Australians' desire for more sustainable design options. And the other thing here, just on this particular mood board here for materials, just to the top right, that beautiful timber mirror by Studio Seats. This mirror is really interesting because if you think about the old alpine milking pails in Switzerland, the design detail was called a pencil. And what this design studio have done is utilise that gorgeous design in other homeware elements. And I think that's a really great way to bring tradition back to more contemporary items. So once again, working with Bree, we were able to secure a beautiful home in Melbourne. This is quite in inner city Melbourne. Beautiful old home. Had quite a few sort of almost like Art Deco sort of elements in this particular home, that with a sort of a Victorian sort of cut over. It was quite an interesting sort of design. But this is all about the narrative. This is about storytelling and layering once again. So here we have Dulux Bean Counter just as the main wall colour. We have Xena just on that wall panelling underneath. And of course, the adjoining wall is in Clouded Sky from the next room. On the left there, we have that beautiful light, or it's actually sort of light to mid-tone colour in Evening Blush. Really beautiful colour, still has that browner undertone, so it's a bit more tapered or muted. And you can see how amazing it looks next to that green sofa. The middle image there is in Lilac Light, beautiful light colour, real chameleon. Once again, it can look quite pink in some sort of lighting conditions, but it also can look quite a peachy sort of colour as well. The end image is a really beautiful composition between Carmine, that red, Evening Blush on the ceiling there, and of course into that next space at the end there we have the Swedish blue. So really beautiful way to sort of bring people up a hallway and obviously highlight that end space. So different angle here in that front lounge area. We have the Evening Blush, and you can see the Xena's being used just on that window box bay there. And that really sort of brought out those beautiful colours in that stained glass as well. The first image here is in Clouded Sky. You can really get that sort of Art Deco feel here. Certainly, Clouded Sky is a beautiful colour for those of you that are working with small spaces. Receding colours like blues and greens work so beautifully. As the eye obviously sees colour, those longer wavelength colours on the colour spectrum like blues and greens are perfect to really help that room recede, especially in that sort of mid-tone to light shades as well. The middle image there is in bruised burgundy. You can see what a beautiful, rich colour that is. And of course, on the right, this is a really interesting image because you can see the three different sort of palettes of colour. So you've got the beige artifacts in the sort of entryway going up the stairwell there into our dining room, which had that clouded sky, and we're ending up in that very far room, which is the front living space in the zenith and bean counter. But I get asked a lot, that, my clients want to use different colours, that they're worried about colour flow, or they don't know how it's all going to work. This is a really great example of how it can work so beautifully. So once again, when you were looking at schemes, a lot of these colours work beautifully together, but you can keep it quite tonal as well. You can just simply use the greens together, which you saw Bree had done in that living space. We can also use those pinks together, which work beautifully, or you can obviously do some contrasting colours like we saw with the evening blush and that beautiful green sofa. So here we have our final palette of Muse. So a colourful array of hues predominantly within the mid-tone, the Muse palette evokes a nostalgic feeling and really celebrates iconic designers and design details from the period of the 60s right through to the 80s, with a particular focus on the adventurous and, of course, glamorous 70s. Whilst many of us have lived through these design periods, the allure of the 70s and 80s is a whole new influence being embraced by younger generations. And I think that's so important to understand that, because when we're thinking about the 70s, someone like in my era, I think about brown in particular as I just can't go back. I'm scarred by it. But a lot of designers and architects and obviously clients have never lived through that period, nor have they had a lot of experience with that period. So this is all new to them and really quite exciting. So I'm trying to, I suppose, take my biased view and my past memory and really look at it as it is today, which is a much more sophisticated use of browns and colours that work with that as well. So on the right-hand side, you've got the Zenotta. The Zenotta, which is that beautiful, strong, bright orange bowl table there. This was actually in high gloss as well. That's something that we did pick up in Milan in particular, that we had these beautiful high gloss finishes in furniture again. The other thing I wanted to pick out on this particular mood board is on the left-hand side, the Sancal. We have that gorgeous Sancal installation from Milan, and that really had, they were actually celebrating their 50th anniversary in Milan this year. And this particular display, they had, I think, 4 sort of adjoining spaces. They really had some amazing colorways, lots of brown, obviously, and lots of really key bold colors like the gold and orange, and lots of nostalgic references when it came to pattern as well. So really lovely, I suppose, iconic in that sort of period as well. So you can see here also the mushroom full lamp from Zenotta up the top there, very iconic in that period as well. So when we're coming to colours, you can see here, brown is definitely a hero here in this palette. We have Fantan, we have Guitar, and of course, even Tuscan Sunset works beautifully within that sort of brown palette as well. The greens are also just as important in this palette, with Briarfot, which is almost like a Prada green, if you like, and of course a mid-tone in surf green, and then our deeper green in hidden depths. We have incorporated also this beautiful poached as an accent, as well as these gorgeous blues in passionate blue and decoration blue. When it comes to how it looks, we're looking at decor shapes ranging from geometric to curvy, whilst iconic lamps like the classic mushroom form feature in bold colour, like this really gorgeous glossy orange red. Adding to the fun and relaxed mood of this trend, furniture is low-slung, upholstered in sumptuous patterned velvets, and also featuring chrome details. So we're really seeing that chrome. We saw a lot of chrome in lighting in particular, and we also saw chrome even on furniture legs again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year with kitchens and bathrooms, as well as far as tapware. And a lot of this is coming through fashion as well. You would have seen, especially in women's apparel, which obviously there's a big influence on interiors from women's apparel. The silver is coming through in fashion forecasts as well again. So another thing that we're seeing in this particular, we're seeing lots of beautiful, high gloss materials, really beautiful luxury design stone, smoked or coloured glass and mirrored finishes, all used without restraint. And you'll see here, even Missoni had the old mirror ball as a influence, obviously, in the seating in their installation. We saw lots of beautiful geometric shapes. Demore Studio was one in particular, and also at Niloufar Gallery as well. So really exciting palette from a colour, but also from a design angle as well. So when we're talking about Muse, obviously this particular space, once again, we were able to scout this incredible Victorian property in Melbourne. And this brown obviously really reflects that 70s dominance. This is in the colour guitar with fan tan just on the ceiling and cornice, but also on those double doors as you enter. And with the furniture that Brie has used as well, you can really get that feeling between that postmodern sort of period, but also emerging into this contemporary design as well. So really sophisticated new look of how we can use brown in modern sort of decor. So on the left there, we have the passionate blue, and trust me, it looks much more brighter on screen than it did in person, but the beautiful deep passionate blue with that gorgeous surf green really brought out those gorgeous colours in the LED light. The middle image there shows you decoration blue, with the poach just on the little planter pot there to the left. And of course, the hallway, as you sort of came up towards this little sitting area, we used fluorescent fire. And then we just had that passionate blue obviously coming through from that entry. And then we entered this beautiful surf green living space. And you can see just the gorgeous colours that Brie has really depicted in the furniture. We have the gorgeous Colt chairs there on the left in those gorgeous orange red sort of tones, and even like obviously the beautiful mushroom form lamp there on the right hand side too, but really great formation with colour and lots of beautiful iconic design pieces as well. On the left there, we have that bryophyte. This was a really great space. It was a little bit on the darker side in this particular room from an aspect. So it was amazing how having bryophyte, which is a little bit cleaner in colour as well to the other colours, that it just gave it a little bit of brightness as well. The middle image there shows you Tuscan sunset, which has glorious warmth, looks amazing with blues, but just as great with greens as well. And of course, on the right-hand side, just a little small corner in that living space that we saw before in the surf green. And you can see the chrome details once again that Brie has selected. So once again, this particular Muse, there's a lot of colour in here, but not as much in the bright colours. This is what we're seeing, I suppose, the biggest impact this year. Not seeing a lot of bright colour. Yes, we have colour, but it's more on the muted side. The other thing we're seeing in this particular palette, you can certainly stay to those tonal palettes, so keep in the same hue family, maybe use the two blues together or even the two greens together, or the browns as we saw in that beautiful living space as well. You can also do a contrast and use a clean white such as Lexicon Quarter. So there we have the colour forecast for 2024. I hope we have inspired you all. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and then we'll have Michael come back on. There we go.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Great, effectively a fabulous overview of the colour palettes for 2024. Look, I've got some questions for you for Solstice Muse Journey. I mean, how do our members get sort of more detailed access to have a closer look at each palette?
Absolutely. So everything is detailed on the website now, so dulux.com.au. On the Specify site, you can obviously go and have a look at the palettes, and they also incorporate the powders colours. All of the colours can be accessed on the colour specifier under the colour area if you want to order the A4s as well. So they are all available to everyone. They all are in the Atlas. So all of those colours are available now. And obviously, if people want powders samples, they can also order those on the powders website.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you. When is this all available?
It's all available now. So
Great.
we launched 1st of September. So it's, obviously quite new, and but everything is available now to order.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And for those who are very interested, of course, Institute members can access special rates on Dulux products when purchased at a Dulux trade store, a paint spot, or an Inspirations store as well. All you need is a Dulux card. And here at the Institute, as a member, you have access to it. There's mine. So do feel free, if you would like to avail yourself of a card, all you need to do is just download the digital loyalty card and download your membership verification letter, present that at a point of sale, and that will get you the access, and we'll also send you the card as well.
Absolutely.
So that is it. Thank you so much, Andrea Lucina Orr, the fabulous Colour and Communications Manager based here in Melbourne. Thank you so much for taking us through the 2024 colour forecast.
Not a problem. And I will
very
be
different
at the stand at the national conference as well. And I will have these to be able to hand out to on the stand. So if anyone would like one, please come along.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at the National Conference late October 2023. For those watching this recording, hopefully you did make it there, or we look forward to seeing you in attendance in Canberra. So that is it for the 2024 Colour Forecast. Massive thanks to Andrea at Dulux and the entire team at Dulux for doing this. It is our most popular lean-in that we run every year. We always get a lot of questions and a huge amount of members asking for it. And especially with the difference in the colour palettes for 2024 is something really refreshing and exciting. A lot of beautiful colours, a lot of bold colours, and something that we haven't effectively seen before.
That's right.
Yeah, which is just great. Yeah. All right then. Well, thank you so much, Andrea, and thanks to you for watching. Do join me again at another stage on another lean-in, and look forward to seeing you. As always, I've been Michael Linky here at the Institute of Architects. Thanks so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you again very soon.